The history of women in American planning. The women's suffrage movement refers specifically to the 72-year long battle for women's rights to vote in the United States between 1840 and 1920. It was rooted in the abolition of slavery. The movement promoted civic action amongst newly enfranchised women. Beyond merely providing the women the legal ability to vote, the suffrage movement promoted civic action. Women began to get involved in public works such as the establishment of community development organizations. Women have been able to make contributions of lasting importance to their communities and to the greater society. The women's progressive era took place during the late 19th century and early 20th century. Women all over the country were joining national organizations such as the National Women's Suffrage Association and the National Association of Colored Women. One of the leading women of the progressive era was Jane Addams. The majority of Adams' work was accomplished through a Center for Higher Civic and Social Life and to investigate and improve the conditions in the industrial districts of Chicago. The Hull House was created in response to problems by urbanization, industrialization, and immigration. Jane Addams also went on to write The Modern City and the Municipal Franchise for Women. In her book, Addams describes the problems of the modern city and how its development has obscured the role which women play in the city both structurally and politically. Adams also advocated for women's suffrage, influencing the participation of women in developing future urban growth. Adams later went on to become the first American woman to win the Nobel Peace Prize. Her work has influenced generations to come, and today she is notably recognized as an important female figure who helped shape and reform urban planning throughout the country. Jane Jacobs was an urbanist and activist whose writing championed a fresh, community based approach to city planning. She has no formal training as a planner, and yet her 1961 piece, The Death and Life of Great American Cities, introduced groundbreaking ideas about how cities function, evolve, and fail. The impact of Jane Jacobs' observations, activism, and writing has led to a planning blueprint for generations of architects, planners, politicians, and activists to practice. Jacob saw cities as an integrated system that had their own logic and dynamic, which would change over time according to how they were used. With an eye for detail, she wrote eloquently about sidewalks, parks, retail design, and self organization. She promoted higher density in cities, short blocks, local economies, and mixed uses. Jane Jacobs' legacy will forever be cities are for people and not developers. Majora Carter is an urban revitalization strategist and the founder of the not for profit Sustainable South Bronx. She has spent a large part of her life fighting for environmental justice and promoting the idea that you don't have to move out of your neighborhood to live in a better one. Her neighborhood was once a thriving neighborhood, disintegrated under the weight of poverty, industrial waste, and the worst kind of urban planning. Subsequently, pollution rose, health rates declined, and the economy weakened. Carter began fighting for the revitalization of the South Bronx and secured a 1.5 million federal grant to redevelop the South Bronx waterfront to bring environmental improvements to her community. Her work promotes the idea that a collaborative model where government, developers, business and industry, and community unite to create environmental justice is possible. A clean, green economy can exist where all people can thrive and live healthy, sustainable lives. Jeanette Sadiq Khan was the commissioner of the New York City Department of Transportation from 2007 to 2013, leading one of the most sweeping revitalizations of the city's streets in a half century. During her tenure, New York City added nearly 400 miles of bike lanes and the first parking protected bike paths in North America. The department she led set in motion more than 60 plazas across the city, including the historic plazas that shut Broadway through Times Square, sparking economic recovery throughout the area. She worked with the Metropolitan Transportation Authority to launch the city's first six rapid bus lines and oversaw hundreds of intersections. She also oversaw the street redesigns that contributed to the city's record low traffic fatalities. She has created miles of bike lanes, parklets, and fought hard to make New York City streets safer for people who value their legs. Often called a revolutionary in the tabloids during her 6 years as a commissioner of the New York City's Department of Transportation, Jeanette Sadiq Khan is more likely to be regarded as a hero for bicyclists and safe streets advocates. No one has done more in less time to rewrite the future of New York City streets. Her biggest legacy is modernizing New York's transportation network.
The legacy that these women have left in the planning field can be felt today in schools across the nation. Women in planning have inspired us to dedicate this video to past, present, and future women planners. Today, women in planning are continuing the legacy of Jane Addams, Jane Jacobs, Majora Carter, and Jeanette Sadiq Khan, and the many others we did not include in this video. We want to thank all the women who fought to pave the way and continue to question, criticize, and challenge the status quo to better the quality of lives all across the country.